Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about a truth so profound it has the power to change your life. You are not stuck. I know how it feels to believe otherwise, to think this is who I am, this is how life is, I'll never change. But here's the thing, those thoughts, they're not facts. They're wiring. And the beauty of wiring is it can be rewired. Awareness is the first step in any transformation. It is the foundation on which everything else is built. You can't rewire a part of your life that you refuse to acknowledge. It's like trying to fix a broken object without ever admitting it's broken. Change begins with seeing the patterns that have been limiting your growth. Often we go through life unaware of the beliefs, habits, and behaviors that are holding us back. These patterns, although they feel familiar, are not serving us. In fact, they are keeping us stuck in old ways of thinking and acting. When we begin to see these patterns for what they are, we start to gain power over them. It's easy to believe that we're just stuck in a situation or that life is happening to us. But the truth is, much of what we experience is the result of unconscious patterns we've been operating from. These patterns were formed through years of conditioning, experiences, thoughts, beliefs, and messages we received growing up, and even things we've chosen to accept about ourselves. Most of these patterns are ingrained so deeply that they become automatic, influencing how we react to situations and people without us even thinking about it. But here's the thing, awareness gives us the ability to choose. When we finally recognize the patterns that have been keeping us in cycles of self-doubt, fear, or stress, we give ourselves the chance to break free. We begin to see that we have the power to rewrite the narrative. Awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. It illuminates what was previously hidden. It allows us to take stock of our beliefs and habits and ask ourselves if they're truly helping us move forward or if they're just limiting us. Without awareness, change is almost impossible. You can't shift something if you don't understand its origin. This process of seeing ourselves and our patterns clearly is not always easy. It can be uncomfortable, even painful at times. But it's necessary. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to face things that may be difficult to confront. But once you begin to see, you open up the possibility for change. The act of becoming aware is liberating because it allows you to choose differently. When you can look at a pattern and say, this is not working for me, and make a conscious decision to act differently, that is where the rewiring begins. It's not enough to simply acknowledge a problem. The key is to choose to take action on that awareness. This is how transformation happens, step by step, awareness by awareness, as you start to challenge the old ways and replace them with new, empowering ones. The inner critic is one of the most persistent forces in our lives, often louder than any other voice we hear. It's that constant nagging voice that tells us we're not good enough, not capable, or not deserving of success. It feeds on self-doubt and fear, always pointing out our flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings. What's dangerous about the inner critic is that it rarely tells the truth. In fact, it often lies to us, feeding us a narrative that is based on fear, insecurity, and past experiences rather than reality. It shapes the way we see ourselves, influencing our choices, behaviors, and beliefs about who we are. The first step in rewiring your life is learning to challenge this voice. The inner critic thrives on unquestioned acceptance. It gains power when we believe its lies without pause. We've all been there, hearing the voice that says, you're not good enough, you'll never succeed, or why even try? This voice becomes so familiar that we start to believe it's an accurate reflection of who we are. We begin to internalize these negative messages, and over time they shape our identity and limit our potential. But here's the truth. The inner critic is not telling you who you really are. It's telling you who you think you are, based on past experiences and false beliefs. It is not an objective source of truth. The way to break free from the grip of this voice is to start questioning it. When the inner critic speaks up, ask yourself, is this really true? Is there evidence to support this belief, or is it just a story I've been telling myself? Often, when we step back and examine the messages of the inner critic with a clearer, more objective mind, we realize they are exaggerated, distorted, and based on outdated beliefs that no longer serve us. Shifting the narrative begins with conscious awareness. The moment you catch yourself believing the lies of your inner critic, take a step back and reframe the thought. Instead of accepting the belief that you are not good enough, challenge it with evidence to the contrary. Remind yourself of your strengths, your successes, and the progress you've made. You have accomplished far more than your inner critic gives you credit for, and it's important to recognize that. It's also vital to recognize that challenging the inner critic is not about silencing it entirely. It's about putting it in its proper place. The inner critic can serve as a tool for self-reflection, but it should never be allowed to dictate your sense of worth or limit your potential. Rewiring your mindset means shifting from self-judgment to self-compassion. It's about understanding that mistakes are not signs of failure, but opportunities for growth. When you begin to challenge the inner critic, you create space for self-love, confidence, and empowerment to flourish, and that is where true transformation begins. For years, we believed that the brain's structure and functions were fixed, that once we reached a certain age, our capacity for change and growth was limited. But today, science has revealed a profound truth: the brain is far more adaptable than we ever imagined. Neuroplasticity is the process by which the brain forms new neural connections throughout life, and it is the key to unlocking our potential. This means that no matter where you are in life, no matter how old you are, your brain is capable of change, growth, and rewiring. Neuroplasticity shows us that the brain is not a rigid organ, set in stone by age or experience. It is dynamic and malleable, constantly reorganizing itself in response to learning, experiences, and even adversity. Every thought, behavior, or new skill you learn creates new neural pathways, reinforcing the connections that are forming in your brain. This process isn't just limited to children or young people, it happens at every stage of life. In fact, studies have shown that with consistent effort, we can build new neural pathways even in our later years, reversing the damage caused by years of negative habits, self-doubt, or limited thinking. One of the most empowering aspects of neuroplasticity is that it demonstrates you are never stuck. Many of us operate with the belief that our habits, thoughts, and behaviors are permanent, that we are defined by our past or locked into certain patterns that we can't escape. But this couldn't be further from the truth. If you feel stuck in a situation or behavior, the fact is your brain is simply following the neural pathways it has established over time. However, the moment you decide to make a change, your brain begins to form new connections, offering you the possibility to rewrite your story. It's like planting new seeds in a garden. If you nurture those seeds with consistency and effort, they'll grow into new habits and perspectives. Changing your brain is not something that happens overnight, but the process can be accelerated by intentional action. Whether it's practicing mindfulness, learning a new skill, or challenging negative beliefs, you can actively guide your brain to form new connections that support your growth. The more you engage in activities that push you out of your comfort zone, the more you strengthen these new pathways. The key is repetition and practice. Over time, as you repeatedly engage in these new behaviors, they become ingrained in your brain, making them your default way of thinking and acting. Understanding neuroplasticity means acknowledging that you have the power to change. No matter how ingrained a habit, belief, or pattern may seem, you are not defined by it. The brain's capacity for growth and adaptation gives you the freedom to break free from the old and create new, healthier pathways that align with the life you want to live. So every time you choose to take a step toward change, you are contributing to the rewiring of your brain and ultimately to the transformation of your life. Change can often feel overwhelming, especially when we try to tackle everything at once. The desire to transform our lives is powerful, but it's easy to become paralyzed by the enormity of the task ahead. The key to lasting transformation, however, lies in one simple yet powerful truth. Small changes, when made consistently, lead to big results. It's not about making drastic shifts all at once. It's about focusing on manageable, sustainable changes that build momentum over time. Habits are the building blocks of transformation. Whether we realize it or not, every action we take today shapes the person we become tomorrow. Our habits, both good and bad, create the patterns that define our lives. But the good news is we have the ability to change them, one small shift at a time. Trying to overhaul your entire routine or mindset in a single day can be overwhelming and unrealistic. Instead, focus on one manageable change. This could be as simple as getting up 15 minutes earlier each day, practicing gratitude before bed, or replacing a negative thought with a positive affirmation. These small steps may seem insignificant on their own, but over time they compound into something much larger. One of the most powerful aspects of small changes is that they are sustainable. When we try to change too much too quickly, it's easy to burn out or become discouraged. But when we take things one step at a time, we build consistency and create a sense of accomplishment. Each time we make a small change, we reinforce the belief that we are capable of transformation. This confidence builds momentum, encouraging us to take on bigger challenges as we go. The key is repetition. The more we engage in a new habit, the more it becomes ingrained in our routine. Eventually, what once felt challenging becomes second nature. Small changes also allow us to be flexible. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes we face setbacks or challenges that make it difficult to stick to a plan. By focusing on small, achievable goals, we can adjust our approach without feeling like we've failed. For example, if you set a goal to exercise every day but miss a day, that one slip doesn't undo your progress. Instead, you can refocus on the next small change, like adding 5 minutes of movement the following day. This approach fosters resilience because it allows room for imperfection while still keeping you on track toward your larger goal. Over time, the impact of small changes becomes undeniable. They accumulate and compound, creating a ripple effect that transforms not only your habits, but your entire life. As you see the results of your efforts, you'll begin to believe in the power of incremental progress. And before you know it, the small changes you've made will have added up to a profound transformation, one manageable step at a time. Growth is rarely comfortable. In fact, it often happens in the places that feel the most uncomfortable, at the edge of what we know, in the space where fear and uncertainty reside. This is where transformation occurs, not in the safety of our comfort zones, but in the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. Rewiring our lives requires us to embrace discomfort, to push through the resistance that naturally arises when we face change. It's not easy, but it's worth it. When we begin the process of personal transformation, we often feel a strong pull to stay within our comfort zone. It feels safe, familiar, and predictable. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the path to change should be easy and effortless. However, real change, the kind that truly rewires your life, requires us to venture beyond what is comfortable. It's in this space of discomfort that growth happens. When we push ourselves to try something new, challenge an old belief, or take on a task that feels overwhelming, we are actually expanding our capacity for change. Discomfort is a sign that we are stretching, growing, and evolving. It's the feeling of pushing against our old limits, breaking free from the habits and patterns that have kept us stuck. At first, discomfort can feel like a roadblock. It may cause anxiety, self-doubt, or resistance. But if we can reframe that discomfort as a sign that we're on the right track, we can use it to our advantage. Discomfort means we're moving towards something greater. It's a signal that we're stepping outside of the confines of our past and into the possibility of our future. The process of rewiring is messy. There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and failures along the way. You might question whether the effort is worth it, or wonder if you'll ever reach the other side. It's important to remember that discomfort and messiness are part of the process. Change doesn't happen in a straight line. There will be twists, turns, and bumps along the way. But each time you embrace that discomfort and keep moving forward, you build resilience, strengthen your resolve, and create new pathways in your brain. We live in a world that often glorifies perfection. The idea that success is only meaningful if it's flawless, if it meets a certain standard, or if it's the end result of a long journey. We measure our worth based on outcomes, thinking that the finish line is where the celebration should happen. But here's the truth. Waiting for perfection to celebrate only robs us of the joy and momentum that progress can bring. Every small win, no matter how seemingly insignificant, rewires our belief system. It is these incremental successes that shape who we become, not the distant, elusive idea of perfection. The journey of transformation is never a straight path. It's filled with twists and turns, setbacks, and small victories along the way. If we focus only on the end result, we miss the significance of each step we take. When we celebrate progress, we validate the effort we've put in and honor the growth we've made, regardless of whether we've reached our ultimate goal. By celebrating small wins, we reinforce the belief that we are capable, that we are making progress, and that each step forward is meaningful. Perfection is a moving target. It's something that can always be improved, always be refined, and always be held just out of reach. If we're constantly chasing perfection, we will never feel fully satisfied or accomplished. We will always be focused on what we haven't done instead of what we have. On the other hand, when we celebrate progress, we shift our focus to what is actually happening in the moment. We acknowledge the effort, the persistence, and the courage it takes to keep going, even when the path isn't easy. Celebrating progress also shifts the way we see ourselves. We begin to rewire our belief system, moving away from self-criticism and doubt and toward self-compassion and confidence. Each time we acknowledge a small win, we reinforce the message that we are capable of change, that we are worthy of success, and that the journey itself is valuable. These small moments of celebration become stepping stones, building our sense of accomplishment and strengthening our resolve to continue moving forward. Waiting for perfection to celebrate keeps us stuck in a cycle of disappointment and frustration. Instead, when we embrace progress and cheer ourselves on, we create a sense of momentum. Each small win fuels the next one, and before we know it, those small wins add up to a larger transformation. So don't wait for the finish line to celebrate. Celebrate the effort, the progress, and the commitment you've shown along the way. By doing so, you will not only rewire your belief system, but you will also cultivate a sense of fulfillment and joy that will carry you through to the end. Failure often carries a heavy weight, a sense of defeat that can be discouraging and disheartening. But what if we could shift our perspective and see failure not as an end, but as part of the journey? The power of the word yet lies in its ability to reframe failure and transform our mindset. When we add the word yet to our struggles or setbacks, we acknowledge that the journey is still unfolding. I haven't achieved this yet turns what feels like a failure into an opportunity for growth, learning, and progress. So the word yet holds an incredible power because it introduces possibility where there once was none. It tells us that we are not defined by our mistakes or our current lack of success, but by the effort we are willing to put forth. It reminds us that we are in a process of becoming, and that where we are right now does not determine where we will be in the future. The road to transformation is not linear, and progress doesn't always happen in a straight line. But when we embrace the idea that we are not there yet, we allow ourselves the grace to fail forward, to see setbacks as part of the learning curve rather than signs of inadequacy. Reframing failure as feedback is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. Instead of seeing failure as proof that we are incapable, we can view it as information that guides us toward the right path. What went wrong? What can we learn from this experience? What can we do differently next time? These questions open up the space for growth. Each failure is an opportunity to reassess, refine, and improve. With this mindset, failure becomes an essential part of the journey, not something to be feared or avoided. The power of yet also helps build resilience. When we face challenges or feel stuck, it's easy to become discouraged, especially if we're focused only on the destination. But when we remind ourselves that we are not there yet, we can refocus on the process. Resilience is about persistence, about continuing to show up and try even when things don't go as planned. The word yet encourages us to keep going, knowing that each step, no matter how small, is moving us closer to where we want to be. By adopting the power of yet, we create a more compassionate relationship with ourselves. We stop seeing our efforts as failures, and instead we see them as steps on the path to success. This simple word has the ability to shift our mindset from one of defeat to one of possibility, transforming our perspective on what success and failure truly mean. With yet as our guide, we can continue to move forward with confidence, knowing that we are always evolving and growing into the best version of ourselves. Gratitude is often seen as a simple feeling, a fleeting sense of appreciation for the good things in our lives. But it is so much more than that. Gratitude is a powerful tool that can fundamentally reshape the way we think, feel, and experience the world. It does not merely exist as an emotion. It serves as a rewiring tool capable of changing the very pathways in our brain. When we practice gratitude consistently, we begin to shift our focus from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. And this shift has profound effects on how we approach life and the challenges we face. Our brains are naturally wired to focus on what's missing, what we lack, what we haven't achieved, and what could go wrong. This survival instinct has its roots in our evolutionary past, where focusing on potential threats or resources in short supply helped us survive. However, in today's world, this mindset often works against us. It keeps us stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and negativity. Gratitude, when practiced regularly, helps us break free from this cycle by shifting our focus to what we already have. Instead of looking for what's missing, gratitude encourages us to look at the abundance that exists in our lives, no matter how small it may seem. The act of practicing gratitude creates new neural pathways in our brain. When we consciously choose to focus on what we're thankful for, we activate the brain's reward centers, releasing feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals not only improve our mood in the moment, but they also reinforce positive thinking patterns in the long term. Over time, the more we practice gratitude, the more our brain learns to recognize the positive aspects of our lives, which makes it easier to cultivate a sense of abundance. In this way, gratitude literally rewires our brain, creating a feedback loop that encourages us to seek out the good, even in difficult situations. Shifting from scarcity to abundance changes the way we approach challenges. When we operate from a mindset of scarcity, we feel as though there's not enough, whether it's time, resources, or opportunity, to go around. This scarcity mindset can paralyze us, making us feel overwhelmed or stuck. But when we shift to an abundance mindset, we begin to see possibilities where we once saw limitations. We start to trust that there are plenty of opportunities, solutions, and support available to us, and that even setbacks are part of the process of growth. This shift in perspective empowers us to take risks, face challenges head-on, and embrace new opportunities with confidence. Gratitude strengthens the rewiring of our brain by reinforcing a mindset of abundance, which in turn fuels growth, resilience, and optimism. It teaches us to appreciate the present moment, to find value in what we have, and to trust that there is always more good waiting for us. The simple act of shifting our focus from what's lacking to what's present can transform not just our mindset, but our entire experience of life. By using gratitude as a rewiring tool, we begin to create a life that is rich in positivity, possibility, and abundance. The process of rewiring our brains doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and above all, repetition. Just as building a new muscle requires consistent effort and practice, creating new neural pathways in the brain involves showing up day after day, even when the motivation wanes or when progress feels slow. The key to rewiring is simple but powerful. Keep showing up. Even on days when you don't feel like it, even when the results aren't immediately visible, the act of repetition slowly and steadily reshapes your brain. Repetition is what solidifies new habits, thoughts, and behaviors. When we engage in a new activity or mindset repeatedly, our brains start to form stronger and more efficient neural connections. These repeated actions reinforce the pathways that lead to positive change, gradually replacing old patterns that no longer serve us. The more we repeat a behavior, the more automatic it becomes. In the beginning, it may feel forced or difficult, but with time, the effort begins to pay off. Small changes made consistently create the foundation for lasting transformation. One of the most challenging aspects of rewiring is the urge to stop when we don't see immediate results. We live in a world that values instant gratification, and when we don't experience quick success, we can easily become discouraged. But true transformation doesn't happen in a flash. It is a gradual process that requires persistence. The key is to focus on the process, not the end result. When we commit to repetition, we're investing in the long-term benefits of change, not seeking a quick fix. Even when we don't feel like showing up, we must remind ourselves that consistency is the key to progress. This commitment to repetition also builds resilience. When we keep showing up, despite feeling tired, frustrated, or uncertain, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of pushing through discomfort and persevering. Each time we choose to act, even when it's hard, we strengthen our resolve and increase our confidence in our ability to create change. Repetition creates a sense of momentum, and over time it becomes easier to continue. Each step forward, no matter how small, adds up to a larger shift. It's important to remember that transformation is not linear. There will be days when you feel like you've taken 2 steps back for every step forward. But even in these moments, repetition matters. Those days are part of the process, teaching us valuable lessons and helping us grow stronger. By continuing to show up, we prove to ourselves that we are committed to our journey of change, regardless of the challenges. New wiring takes time. The brain doesn't rewire overnight, but with consistent effort, the old patterns start to fade and new, healthier pathways emerge. The key to this process is showing up day in and day out, trusting that each small step is moving you closer to the person you want to become. Keep repeating the actions, thoughts, and behaviors that align with your goals, and over time, you will witness the transformation you've been working toward. Rewiring our brains and transforming our lives is not an overnight process. It's a journey of small, consistent steps that require patience, resilience, and commitment. By embracing discomfort, celebrating progress, and shifting our focus from scarcity to abundance, we begin to reshape our beliefs, habits, and behaviors. Each small action, each moment of gratitude, and every repetition of effort contributes to the rewiring process, gradually shifting the very pathways in our brain. Remember, you are not defined by where you are right now, but by the person you are becoming. So keep showing up, trust the process, and know that with every step, you're moving closer to the life you desire. The power to change lies within you, and with every small choice, you're creating a new and powerful version of yourself. So my challenge to you today is this. What's one pattern you're ready to rewire? Start small, stay consistent, and remind yourself every step of the way, you are not stuck, you are in progress. Thank you.